right. Hello and welcome to our webinar. We should be setting up live on YouTube. We're happy you're all here. It's just going to be a second. It's still loading. It's kind of taking a slow loading. There we go. All right, we're all here, and we're here to celebrate Scratch Month. And we're celebrating Scratch Month because instead of Scratch Day, we're celebrating it all month long, which is pretty awesome. So I'm here to share some Makey Makey and microbit projects. Katie's sharing the same. We even have Jay Silver here to talk about Makey Makey. And I guess we need to do some quick intros. So hello, I'm Colleen, and I like to call myself the instigator of fun here at Makey Makey. I do our social media. I do all these webinars. I have been working lately on creating content for all the kids at home. So I'll make sure to send that link again at the end. And I'm going to move you guys over to Katie, who's going to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Katie Henry, and I work for the Microbit Educational Foundation. And I like to have fun like Colleen. And this month I'm instigating fun with Scratch. And so I've been posting a lot on Twitter, some really fun microbit and Scratch projects. And Colleen and I just thought it would be a lot of fun today to see what's possible with microbit, Makey Makey, and Scratch together. So I'm really excited to be here to play with some technology with all of you.
Awesome. And Jay, I'll give a small introduction to Jay. Your video is spotlighted now so that no one can see me, they're seeing you. Jay is one of the original inventors. I don't know why I said original, but he's the, him and Eric Rosenbaum created Makey Makey. I'll let you talk. I'm not going to talk. Go ahead.
Hey, I'm Jay Silver. I am the founder of Makey Makey, and I was excited to be invited to join, and I'm going to show how easy it is to just hook up Makey Makey.
Awesome. And Tom Heck, the wonderful Tom Heck is here too. Let me see if I can spotlight Tom's video. Tom's joining us from his virtual workshop.
Man,
Tom?
I wish my workshop was this tidy. Look at all this. There's hardly anything on the bench there. I don't know whose workshop this is, but definitely not mine. So glad to be here. I also, like Colleen, help support the educators that are using Makey Makey around the world, and lead workshops when I'm able to travel. And when I'm not able to travel, I actually am developing an online course that is based on our live Makey Makey Invention Literacy Workshop, which is offered by organizations that train teachers all over the place. And we're working on building that network around the world. So this is really fun to be here.
Thanks, Tom, for coming. And our goals for this workshop, Katie made us some goals, and I believe the goals are to get everyone understanding how easy it is to just start with Scratch and using the extensions. Wait, is this where I'm supposed to show how easy it is to do this? I think this is where I'm supposed to do this. Well, it's part of it. Let me share my screen and show you at the same time. So, well, Katie, you tell me if there's another goal, and then I'll share my screen. But
I think we've already said the goals. We're here to have fun.
We are. We're here to have fun, and we're playing, but we're being a little bit whatever the word is. So I'll show you a Scratch, and I actually meant to, before this started, pull up any random Scratch game and show you how you could actually use microbit and Makey Makey with any random Scratch game. And I did a bad job because I didn't actually pull a specific game up yet. But let me just go to Scratch, and I'll share it right here. And let's see. So here we are. We're in my Scratch. I was kind of thinking, I really love Eric's beatbox thing, and I think that would be a good one to show, but I don't know. Let's try this. Oh, it didn't work. Is it not called beatbox? Oh, there's so many fun things. Well, let's just see what happens with this one. I have no idea what it is. Sometimes it's fun. This is what you do in a play-in-art, right? You just guess. So let's see. Let's look how it's made. So inside, it might work. Whoa. Helps if you can see the C inside. So right now, there isn't actually anything that I'm going to be able to do on a key press. It's just when the flag is clicked that these characters are doing something, but I could go into extensions and get the Makey Makey extension and change it from the flag to space. All right, and then let me get a Makey. Now my Makey Makeys are all connected to other things that are behind me. All right, so now if I press space, is my sound coming through?
I can hear you.
I mean the music sound.
No.
Okay, I didn't share my screen right, guys. Burp, 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 boo. Let me do that again. Ready? Okay, so now when I press space, well, scratch. Now you can hear it?
Yes.
Oh, and it's not stopping. Okay, so I'm going to stop that. I'm going to show you. I plug my Makey Makey in. And actually, let me see something. You guys, in your window view, you can also change what you're seeing. So I'll do that so you're stuck on my view. So here I'm holding this Earth and I'm pressing space, but my mouse is hovering over the kid instead of in the... What? This must be another remap to Makey Makey. We keep having this problem, right, Katie? Where we're taking
Yes, we
remap to
do.
Makey Makeys. It shouldn't be. All right, well, I'll just change it. Much easier. I know the arrow key is correct. So I'm going to change this to a right arrow. And now I want to do right arrow. Start it. And okay. I could do the same thing with microbit. I'm going to open the microbit extension right here. And now I have to have one of my microbits on to do that. And this guy's easier to catch. So I did put this little one on another glove. I'm going to plug him in and he should, I don't know why microcontrollers are called he, especially this one. It's telling me its name. So I'm going to click try again. In fact, actually, my Scratch Link isn't running because I've been playing with a different computer all day. So I have to make sure my Scratch Link is on. And once that's on, which it should be on now, I should be able to do microbit and hit the little exclamation point. And now it sees gig up and I click connect and now they're working. So now I could do when I press the A button, right? I probably also want to do something like this so you can see that it's doing it. All right, so that's super simple how we get started. Now,
Hey, Colleen.
yeah.
Colleen, can you share again the extension window? We had a couple questions about, and actually, or I can demo it when I come do my part in a few minutes.
Okay, that's okay. I'll show you again real quick.
Awesome.
If you go to share screen, let me share screen. And so again, we didn't really tell you anything about Makey Makey or microbit or what they do, but you can see how easy it is to connect them to Scratch. Hopefully you've used them before, but we're going to tell you a little bit about each one. The extensions is way down here. So do you see the little blue box? I wish that Zoom had like a highlight feature. So you click on that and then you get all these extensions. So you can do video sensing, text to speech, and here's the Makey Makey and here's the microbit. And once you add them, so I'll go ahead and add the music one too. They start showing up here under my blocks. And all you do is click on them to get the menu to pull up. All right, now Katie's going to tell us a little more about microbit, a little bit background. Oh, or Makey Makey. I'm sorry, we're all out of sorts here.
Or Jay can lead us in a fun play session if he's ready.
Sure. So this is how to use Makey Makey?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, sure. So yeah, right. So when you get a Makey Makey, it comes out of the box with, can everybody see this video? And can you spotlight this video actually, Colleen?
I am, oh, you want me to spotlight this video? Yeah, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. So when it comes out of the box, let's see, all you have to do is plug in the micro USB and then plug in USB to your computer. In my case, I have a newer laptop, so I need a dongle. and then you're ready to go. So when you do plug it in, here's what happens. Let me show you the plug-in dance sequence. So the lights shimmer, and as soon as that happens, you can test it by just touching it and making sure the green lights are lighting up when you touch it. Okay, so once that happens, it's already active. So looking on the screen, if I push the up arrow, I'm on the Scratch website. I'm basically navigating the website using the Makey Makey. Really right away, it's just active and ready, and it's just sending key presses to the computer. So it's not actually doing anything special. There's no special protocol other than just regular old key presses. As far as the computer is concerned, we're just hooking up an external keyboard. And so that's all it knows. And so what that means is that it's really easy to hook up all kinds of stuff to all kinds of games in Scratch. So within the Scratch website, I like to go to the Explore tab sometimes, and then I'll click on the, yep.
Jay, if you on your computer screen, just share your screen, then you don't, you can leave the camera, the phone camera on your Makey Makey.
Right, I understand, but I am not zooming from that computer.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yep, that's okay. So then if you click games, although there's a number of really interesting, art, animations, music, there's all these categories, but I just want to show you really quick. I'll just pick the first game, and it loads up in a screen, and then you can make it full screen. I'll click the start flag, go full screen. So basically now, like, Scratch has 50 million-ish projects, a lot of which are games, and students are often really interested in this kind of stuff. And so these games are actually pretty nice. And what we just looked at was the trending games. So every 30 days, it shows like the top games. So within that, I can play this game, by pushing the keyboard on my computer, obviously. But since this keyboard is the same thing as the Makey Makey, well, then I could push the button on the Makey Makey as well. So that also controls it. But that's not what's interesting about Makey Makey. What's interesting is that you can dumpster dive in the physical world for any old objects. So I'll hook up this cup, and now instead of touching, let me put the camera down. Instead of touching the Makey Makey, I can now touch this cup, and you can see on the screen that the guy jumps every time I touch the cup. And if I want to go further than that, well, then I just hook up to another key. So I might hook up to the left arrow key, and that might control the character moving to the left on the screen. So I hook up one more cup, and now I can control jumping and moving left. So just as easy as that, you can hook up to that game, or really you can hook up to any game. Here's another game that was on that top screen. So this is a maze game. So now I can control within this 3D maze.
Oh, wow.
Because any game in Scratch typically uses the keyboard keys or the spacebar, or the arrow keys, the spacebar, or the mouse click. And you can also remap the Makey Makey to other keys, or use the back of the Makey Makey to get more mouse motion or other keys. So I just wanted to give you like a super brief intro, and you can unspotlight that now if you want, to Makey Makey as a kind of a one rule system. And so when we designed it, we were really inspired by a lot of construction kits. Take, for example, Lego has one rule, and this is just kind of a thing that I made up called the one rule rule. When you're designing a creative platform, when you have Legos, there's only one rule: push to stick together. Now you get into other stuff like pull to separate and all the different mechanisms when you need to. But you can take a beginner, teach them one rule, and then in a very small amount of time, they can have their first creative contribution. That's a really amazing moment. And a lot of creative platform designers and a lot of educators don't talk about time to first creative contribution in a workshop, in a curriculum, on a particular day, or with a particular tool. And if you minimize that time to first creative contribution through your design constraints and through the way you engage people, through the way you leverage the familiar world that people already know all about so they don't have to start from knowing nothing, then you get really fast action towards high creative confidence. And so I just wanted to I don't usually talk about that aspect of Makey Makey, but in introducing Makey Makey, I wanted to say that we have one rule, which is Makey Makey is digital duct tape, and you just alligator clip to the physical world, alligator clip to the digital world, and they're connected. So now the physical world sends a key press. And with that one rule, you can connect all kinds of things, any conductor in the physical world, to any keyboard, any computer program, because all computer programs take keyboard and mouse input, and that's what the Makey Makey sends. So with this one rule, you've got a lot of creative options, And that's just one of the many design rules we use to design Makey Makey, is the one rule. And I'll just finish off by talking about Makey Makey as really digital duct tape. And you're supposed to dumpster dive in the physical world from your trash pile of the world you live in: graphite, ice, cats, your grandma, fruits, your own body, high fives, water buckets, dirt. Gardens are popular these days, as is sourdough bread. All those things work with Makey Makey. You grab one of those, throw it on the table, hook it up, then you dumpster dive digitally on your computer. You pull up your favorite app, you pull up a website, you hover buy now on Amazon with a really expensive object and play a game, please don't touch this object. And you can really hook any API'd out, websited out, internet connected computer app to any physical object. And so that like radical creative power was meant to unlock the wild learner in all of us.
Someone asked what to do with sourdough. You could actually plug an alligator clip into a loaf of sourdough bread and squeeze the bread. You still need an earth, of course. You could take two breads and, you know, whatever you want to do there.
Or your body is the earth. That's fine.
Yeah, or your body. You can hold the alligator clip
about
and
that is
touch
that,
on the bread.
That's right. And the funny thing is that breadboards are the kind of original electronic prototyping tool that people like to connect lots of things together really quickly without having to solder, without even having to use alligator clips. And they're modeled after bread. So you can literally stick electronic components in with Makey Makey literally into bread, but it also is a segue into professional prototyping for electronics called breadboards.
I have a joke on Twitter where I can't find it, where I did that. I took 2 pieces of bread and I was like, how's this for breadboarding? And that's like my joke. Because I remember when I actually started, I told the story a lot. I started with, in my maker life, I started with Arduino because I got that before I got a Makey Makey, and it was so hard and breadboarding made no sense to me. And so that's one reason I love Makey Makey, because it made everything else make sense. So like eventually all of the other things started to make sense. All right, so we were going to ask in the chat. We're going to ask in the chat while Katie sets up the next. We're going to talk about microbit. What are some things that you've made with Makey Makey? If you want to type them in the chat, and then Katie's going to show us about microbit, and we're also want to know what you've made with microbit. So I think it's probably important too in the chat for us to know how many. Oh, someone made LED, we've made interactive dioramas, we've made LED things. Alia hasn't done anything yet. Physical buttons, stuffed animals, that says Jackie. Lots of cool stuff. It's hard for me to keep the chat window up while you're on there. Uh-oh. I think I'm still spotlighting Jay. There you go. Sorry about that. All right, there you go. The Makey Makey projects you're most excited about. That was a good one. If you made us tell us about it. And then, so we're probably thinking a lot of you came because you already knew about Makey Makey, and so maybe now you're new to microbit. And Katie, did you want to? Oh, look, Shiva made a bit.ly for all the resources, everybody. She's so good.
It's almost like we planned this webinar.
I know. I'm not good at planning webinars, so I usually go off the cuff. So it's like, oh, wow, you actually did something there. The giant piano.
Great.
Oh, look, someone named Colleen made a giant piano. It makes me really excited because the giant piano is really fun. I have a yoga mat piano just right over here. That was really fun for me to make too. If the bit.ly, I'll share it with you, but the bit.ly is just like projected on the screen. All right, so now tell us about microbit. And everyone, if you have used microbit, raise your hand. There's a little button at the bottom that allows you to raise your hand, and then I'll have to put your hands down. So right now we have, the hands are going up, Katie. We're at like,
oh, fantastic.
We're
Excellent.
at like 25% of the people. No, we're not. We're at 37% of the people have used microbit. We're still going up. Yeah.
Okay.
And we have someone who did the Harry Potter hat. That's good. Yeah, so I'd say almost half the people. Now I have to lower everyone's hands.
Great. Well, Makey Makey is where I started. I was a middle school STEAM teacher, and Makey Makeys were essential to my classroom. And I think, like you were saying, Jay, one of the beautiful aspects of it is it gives students and children and creators of all ages agency over their world. you don't feel like you need a degree or a specialized knowledge base or something you don't have to create something that you love. You can make with what you have. And Makey Makey has helped thousands of children all over the world to create with what they have around them. And that's really inspiring. And, you know, the tool that I'm excited to share with you today really shares a similar mission, which is to inspire every child to create their best digital future. And so with this, it sounds like many of you have heard of the microbit before. The microbit is a small computer. It is about the size of a credit card. It fits into your hand. I'm going to hold one up in front of my camera. I hope that you can see this. It's just a little tiny computer board. I've actually got one clipped to my wrist, which I'll use to demo here in a minute. But what's neat about this microbit is that it has a lot of the same sensors that you find in your cell phone. So if you just take a look at this diagram here, you'll see there are buttons on the front, LEDs that light up. Over here on the back, you have a compass, you have an accelerometer, which is a fancy word for a tilt sensor. So when you turn your cell phone and you see it switch from portrait to landscape mode, your cell phone is using its accelerometer to measure its position in space. And so your microbit has one of those. And so when I tilt my microbit here in a minute, I'll be able to make some cool interactions in Scratch. So there's a compass, there's actually a little processor on the back, so it can store the program that you write. You can disconnect it from your computer and go out into the real world and do even more things. And then on the bottom here, you see this big gold edge connector. This allows you to plug and play with other accessories, use your alligator clips, and start to create even more things with your microbit. So today we're focusing on all things Scratch in honor of Scratch Month. And so I just wanted to highlight the platforms that you can use with your microbit and Scratch. Unfortunately, there is not an iPad connection for Scratch plus microbit right now, but the big news is there is now a Chrome OS extension. And so that's really exciting for especially students who are one-to-one with Chromebooks, or if you have a Chromebook at home. Colleen mentioned this briefly earlier, and some other folks put it in the chat, but you do need to download a program called Scratch Link. And that's right there for you in Scratch to download. It's free, it's easy to download, and that is what allows Scratch to talk to your microbit. Okay, so final thought before we start programming, there are loads of free Scratch and microbit resources available, and you can find these in that bit.ly link that we shared at the very beginning. So you've got Scratch cards from MIT, you've got Scratch cards from the Microbit Foundation, and these are just really simple little activities for getting started with your microbit. And finally, if you're looking for more of a curriculum or lessons for your students, there are free Scratch and microbit lessons from a nonprofit called Boot Up PD, and you can find all of their lessons at their website, bootuppd.org. And with that, let me switch over here now to Scratch. And so just like all of you, I am looking for things to do around my house. And so Colleen showed me this really adorable little sock bunny that her daughter made. And, you know, just like Jay was saying, you know, look for the objects that are closest to you and go dumpster diving. I went sock diving and I made this little sock, or made this little bunny just by shoving some stuffing down into the sock here, pushed it all the way down and squeezed it, wrapped it with a rubber band and cut the top of it to make the ears and created this little bunny. I took a photo of my bunny and imported it into Scratch. And so now you can see that I've got a little sprite here that's moving around. But my bunny is very sad. Actually, I named him Pete, and Pete isn't a very good dancer. Pete needs help finding his beat. And so over the course of the rest of this webinar, we're going to use Makey Makey and Scratch to play with Pete and help him find his beat. So getting started right away, I'm just going to show you, just like Colleen mentioned, you just come down in here into this little extension bar. This is where you can add your microbit extension. And once you've done that, you click this little box here to make sure that your microbit is connected. If it's not connected, you'll be prompted with what to do in order to make that connection. So mine's connected, so I'm going to get started. Okay, so just thinking simply here, let's use one of those sensors that I mentioned. so that when I tilt the microbit, I can see some action. So let's come into the microbit folder here, and I'll make my screen a little big. Hey, Colleen, can you see my box okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so now
Hey,
when
Katie, real quick,
Yeah.
you do have to have the Bluetooth connection, right, for Scratch to work with microbit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Someone
Yes,
asked,
this.
so I was clarifying.
Thank you. Phil,
Mhm.
yeah, you do have a Bluetooth connection. That is how these are paired.
Yeah.
They can talk to each other. All right. So when I move my microbit, let's change the color. So I'm going to come over here to my looks folder, and I'm looking for change color. Where is my block? Here it is. Change color effect by 25. Okay, it's kind of subtle, and you might be able to see some highs and lows. All right, that's cool. But my microbit or my bunny is ready to perform. So let's add some music. Actually, okay, so if you've never added sounds to Scratch before, it's really easy. I'm just coming over to my sound tab. Down here in the bottom is the library of sounds, and you can search by like category. The loops are longer sounds. I already have actually found one that I like, which is called a pop sound. So I've selected it here. Colleen, can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll come back over to my code tab now, and let's just add a little sound. Can you hear that?
It's cute.
I think that sounds so fun. Cool. Well, let's now, we've got him kind of changing colors a little bit. He's moving with my beat that I'm making. Let's add in a little bit of dancing back and forth using the tilt of the microbit. So I'll come into my microbit folder again, and let's find this tilt block. Okay, so it's rounded. So that means that it's going to be measuring a value, and I want it to measure at my tilt. So let's write a little program that when the green flag is clicked, I will move my sprite by the angle of my tilt. So let's just set X. And again, this is kind of thinking about your stage as an X and Y axis. So anytime you're changing the X, you're moving your sprite left and right. And I want this to always be listening to the change in my wrist. So I'm changing my tilt. So I'm using a forever loop. And the forever loop makes sure that every time I move, that rabbit is listening. Okay, this is fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm actually going to just kind of pause here for a minute because we have a lot more to look at. And Colleen has put together an amazing project with her glove and microbit and Makey Makey. And then in a few minutes, we'll come back to Pete and we'll see if we can get him to do some more cool things.
You got to take the pop sound off. This is like when I teach kids about Scratch, and the first thing they have is that meow sound, and they're like meow, 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 and all you hear in the classroom is total chaos of meow, meow, meow. And you're like, and then I go, okay, boys and girls, everybody click on the sound tab. Do you see the X? Click the X, and then they click it, and they can't hear the meow sound anymore. And I'm like, ha ha ha, you fell for it. So anyway, sorry. That's Rich gets me. He totally understands. He says the meow drives him nuts. I already put my this is my fingerless glove. So I have two different gloves that I'm trying this on. I did this one today and had to cut a hole here for my thumb. I actually got this idea for what I'm about to show you from Katie Butsu and Mark Lyons, which are some occupational therapists that are Makey Makey fanatics, and they've been. And Jennifer Shank is also an occupational therapist who did a similar project. She had one that's similar, but what I'm going, I know my screen isn't shared yet.
Colleen, I think I'm still spotlighted.
You're spotlighted. That's what happened. Okay, sorry. All right, I'm back. It's hard. It's too many things to remember. All right, so this is my glove, and this is inspired by these occupational therapists who are working with students to increase like hand movement. And so what I did today was I challenged myself to build a platformer in Scratch. And all that I'm going to do is I have the right and left arrows connected. So when I do this, you should see, hang on, I'm actually going to hold this alligator clip for now. This should light up. All right, see, and you can hear the sound. So I'm I'm going right and left when I put my fingers down, and then I program microbit to be my jump. So I'm going to go over to Scratch and show you my Scratch game, my platformer. Now, this is the kind of platformer you should show every kid. I'm just kidding. I haven't gotten there yet. Sorry. I had the wrong game pulled up. So I like to do when you guys, I'm having trouble. I have too many things. It's actually very hard to wear something and be connected to things and try to show people what you're doing on the screen. All right, here we go. I keep hitting the wrong button too. Anyone else having a Monday? You can laugh about me in the thing. There we go. You can see my screen now, right, everybody?
Yes.
I got the right one pulled up. Okay. So microbit needs a connection. It's not there, but let me show you. This is what I like to call a, I actually forgot the name of it all of a sudden. Tom, what do I always call they're not called, like my friend Kathy Cesary calls them trash robots, but Ryan Jenkins from the Tinkering Studio was always calling it something about rough prototypes. I can't remember the name now. Just all of a sudden, randomly, I lost my mind.
Frankentypes?
Frankentypes will work, but that's not really what I was thinking. It's like it's kind of like you show kids a not great example of something so that they don't feel intimidated. So this is my, rough prototype. I'll just call it rough prototype. I'll remember the word, 3 hours from now. Of how to make a platformer to help the kids control their fingers. But you can see my platformer is not amazing. So what I have is my Scratch Cat. I will say all the code was a little bit difficult, but this ground sprite is going to be what Scratch Cat moves on. So he's moving right, he moves left, he moves right, he moves left. But also he's not connected to microbit yet. So let me fix my microbit connection because I can see on my wrist, it's saying the name of the Bluetooth. I feel so cool with this glove on. Do I look cool, everybody? Yeah. I feel like one of my first, I'm aging myself. One of my first experiences with Nintendo was like, it wasn't the glove. I don't think I had the glove, but it was the gun with Duck Hunt where you would shoot at the screen. And this feels a little bit like that moment in time where I'm like doing this super cool thing. All right, so now I should be able to make him jump. Oh, he's not behaving. There he goes, he jumps when I shake my fist. So I'm moving right, and then I have the next screen. So there's my ground sprite change, you could see, and he moves to the next screen, and then there's a hole, and oh no, I got stuck back at the beginning. I go right, I go left. This is actually really hard dexterity-wise for my hands. And he moves to the next screen. I'm gonna jump. Jump. Let's see if I can get him over. And he made it. All right, so that's just a really simple game showing how to make a platformer and how to use both these projects together. So I'm using the microbit to jump, and I'm just using my fingers right and left. Does that make sense, everybody? Now I have to somehow set up my whole second controller. When Katie and I started this, my idea was that I wanted to do a theremin. I really wanted to do, if you haven't heard of a theremin. Did we talk about that, Tom, when we did the synthesizer? The first Let's Invent?
I believe we did.
Yeah, because Colleen's a little obsessed with theremins because they're kind of like an amazing musical instrument. It's hard to do this, where you use your hands to turn the sound up and down and left and right. Now, I couldn't actually do a theremin the exact way I wanted, but I do have, this is a much more complicated looking program, only because I got a little carried away. But this glove, are you laughing at me getting carried away? It sounds like you are. Also, I can't see the chat anymore, so if there's any questions, let me know. I plugged in my whole second Makey Makey. This is my lost and found glove. Oh, it's my other hand. I could have had them both on this whole time. This one, I actually have a power switch for my microbit, so that's nice. And I made this in the, we'll share in the screen in a second so you can see a little bit more how I made this one. Because this one uses no fingers, no hands. Instead, I have, this really feels like a glove, a power glove, right?
It's so cool.
Colleen the cyborg. All right, so on this one, now I have to connect microbit again. So I have a different one. If you see this little, this is kind of what I've learned, because I've used microbit in Scratch, but I actually use MakeCode and microbit a little more. So this was a learning curve for me too. I noticed if this orange exclamation point is on, then I'm not connected. So now I have Tippet. This is a different name. So it's pretty cool. Each microbit has a different name and it scrolls across in the screen when you're using it. So now in this code, I did go really complicated because you have to tilt and press a finger press. So Earth is down here on this conductive tape, and then each finger does a different thing. So that's changing the sound. So when I tilt my hand, nothing's really happening, but if I tilt and I press a key, and I have different sounds for different fingers. And that's the most magical one because that's the one that's connected to the backdrop. So. And now what I did notice that was really fun is I actually tried connecting. I was telling Katie about this. I think we could learn a lot about accelerometers and science with this idea, is that I did try touching a drawing instead of having my hand touch something. And it made it so that I could tell a little better about my tilt. So let me try to be more specific with my tilt. Just say Makey Makey's just right here. Let me move this drawing so you can see when each one goes off. I think my favorite one's this one though. This is the best sound. Right, let's press them all. Is it magical? Do I have a Nintendo Power Glove on? So it's very hard to control your sound, and I did actually even program the microbit to tell me which way it was tilting. So it's saying right now. Let's see, and now it's saying left. So maybe this should help me learn too. Hey, there you go. How's that? Now I'm more like a theremin. So I think there's a lot of play to happen here to figure out how I can make a theremin. So the things that I changed in Scratch, I actually used the microbit tilt angle to change the pitch effect. On some of them, I tried set pitch effect, and some of them I tried change pitch effect just to play and see what would happen. I was really hoping I could change the note sounds each key press and tilt, and I didn't actually have that capability, but I did add music to see if there was something I could do here that would really change. Because in a theremin, what happens is it will make like a longer sound or a slower sound. It actually changes the sound wave. So that's...
Colleen, everybody's excited to do this.
Are they?
Back at home, and everyone thinks it's really cool. And actually, we had one request to see a close-up of the glove.
Of the what?
Of the glove itself.
Oh, okay. I actually took pictures and they're in the next slide, so I'll show those too.
Oh, perfect. Well,
but I accidentally just played on my own self. That was kind of fun. Can I do that again? See that? Now you can see what I'm talking about with the drawing. Oh yeah.
Everyone wants to try this, Colleen.
Oh, there we go. Now I'm thinking of like a little story puppet. Remember how we talked about puppets and storytelling, Katie? Like, because it does something that happens. There's so many things you can do when you combine them. All right, so Katie, I'm going to unshare my screen so that I'm still playing the music, so that you can share back that the slideshow, because I did actually put close-ups on the slideshow.
And while she brings up the slideshow, someone's asking, how do you get your students to treat the tech with respect? I don't have that many students in a regular classroom, so maybe someone else can answer.
Oh, that's a good question. And I will share the links. I think Kala's asking if we'll share the links to the code.
Or we can think about that one and answer it later. It's a hard one.
I'm going to think about it and answer it because I think it's a good question. So I took this glove, and Katie and I also talked about, before we started this, lost and found, which I actually think is a Makey Makey principle of all time, right, Jay, as World as a Construction Kit, because we thought, well, you have things in your house that you don't, that you lost a glove, right? So I only have this one glove. I have no idea where the other glove is. So now I've found a purpose for this new glove by making it into this Nintendo controller style power glove controller. And I think that's just really cool that you can think of that. I'm actually pretty impressed this looks as cool as it does on screen, because sometimes when you make these things, it doesn't look so great. And one reason that it's actually like the wires don't look crazy is I just clip them all in place with the rubber band. So I took a glove and I actually sewed the microbit loosely. If anyone is a sewer, I use a technique called basting. So that is not conductive thread, that is just normal gray thread, and it's just basted onto the glove so that it doesn't fall off. And then I used conductive fabric tape from our Inventor Booster Kit, which unfortunately I didn't have it close to me. So let me grab one. Boop, 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 boop. I do have the tape, but this is our booster kit pack that I've been trying to talk Jay into making a classroom expansion pack where it might have like 5 rolls of this tape. So this is conductive fabric tape. You can also get it from Brown Dog Gadgets. They have the same tape. But this tape, or similar tape, it's used for shielding, and it's fabric instead of copper. So it's very flimsy, it doesn't tear, and it doesn't cut you. So it's, to me, it's like the most amazing maker tape of all time. So I put that on the fingertips, and then I put one on down here for earth, and then I just clipped to it. Oh yeah, and it's still lighting up. It's still plugged in, right?
Colleen,
Okay.
can you see my screen?
I can.
Is it big for everyone to see the parts of what you're talking about? Or
It should be. They should be seeing it really big.
Yep.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah. So that's how I did that. It's actually not that hard. It's mostly just playing. And I think that there's probably a lot of play we can do with the idea of tilting and switch presses. And I'm just going to restate the fact that I wish MakeCode had, I know this is Scratch Month, but I wish MakeCode had key presses in it, because then I could do these things with that too. But all right.
I noticed some people on the chat are answering how to get kids to respect the tech. And so
yes.
I think that's a great idea, because there's so many of them are so many teachers out there have so much knowledge. I think it would be great to answer that in the chat if anyone has an answer.
Yeah, and it'd be great if Katie or Tom or anyone wants to say out loud what they're reading, because I didn't have chat where I could see it. Just
I've been working on it.
Okay. No, I mean, when we say it out loud, then people who watch the video will hear the ideas.
Gotcha. Okay. Not everybody can see the chat.
Right. YouTube can't see the chat.
Gotcha.
I see.
Yes. So, Tom's telling you I will share the Scratch link. Supply managers. Mindy has a supply manager, and they help check that materials are put away appropriately. Mindy made me realize too, I keep all my Makey Makeys in these storage containers. And Katie, this is what you need to do with that Makey Makey that's been remapped. If I remap them, I mark them with Sharpie.
Yeah.
What's wrong? But my daughter's teacher, when I went to her school to have them put all the Makey Makeys back, she actually just stuck this with the alligator clips in it the way it's supposed to under the document camera and said, children, this needs to look like this when you give it back. So you could actually see. The reason I like these is I could see the alligator clips, I could see the USB cable, and I could see the Makey Makey. This one happens to have an iPad adapter in it, because Makey Makey does work with an iPad now, because you can use the adapter. So there's no Bluetooth, there's no anything. It's just plugging straight into the iPad. And that's if you update to the newest OS.
If you have a remap to Makey Makey and you want to reset it to normal again, just go to makeymakey.com/remap and it'll walk you through it.
Good to know.
Maybe we should explain what remapping is, just really quick.
Sure. Just so normally the arrows on the front of the Makey Makey control the arrow keys from your keyboard, but you could also make them control anything that you want, like a number press, or like any letter on the keyboard, or even some weird characters, commas, things like that. So for some special case uses, you don't want arrow keys, or you don't want ASDFG, or you don't want mouse control. You want something else. So then you can make the ports on the Makey Makey map instead of to what it looks like they map to any key on the keyboard, and that's why we call it remapping.
Awesome. I also want to point out what Mindy said about how she uses Microbit and Makey Makey so much with her students that they already love the tools and they don't have any widespread tool disrespect. So they're actually already kind of careful with them. I will say when I have students right in the beginning, and maybe Tom can speak to this too, but in the beginning, because the headers are something to worry about, I do say, like, be careful. Don't don't put this on the ground. If I see kids playing, I have had kids step on them on accident because they're making a dance pad or whatever. Be careful because it is an electronic, be careful. Like if it was, I'd like to say like if it was your mom's phone, but we all know that even kids aren't respectful sometimes with their mom's phone. But
we're just
don't
talking
break
about
it.
where they come from, right? Like
Yeah.
these don't just like come from, it's not like school gets built and then these objects are just there. The teacher found them. You can talk about your connection to them. You can talk about the people who started these initiatives or why they were started, about really trying to empower the kids. And so it's not just like some crap we're trying to do with them, but something that we care about for them to be empowered.
I agree. And the other thing about respect too that I thought of, this is such a beautiful question, is, sometimes like teachers will even say, my students don't respect me, or I want them, they should respect me, I'm their teacher. Or respect for objects and respect for people actually have some things in common, and you have to earn it, right? Like you don't just demand respect and take it. And I think with objects such as the Makey Makey or the Microbit, it's very similar. So why would the child respect their teacher? Does the teacher love them? Does the teacher care for them? Does the child get what they need? Same thing for the tool. If the tool is helping the child to achieve a purpose that they're self-selecting, the child wants to take care of the tool because it's helping them to achieve something for themselves. And so student agency, student ownership, student creativity leading the way allows me to care, makes space for me to care and respect, because I believe my voice matters in a way that once makes it so I want to protect what I have because I want to create with it. And so actually it's kind of counterintuitive, but part of the way I think sometimes for respect of objects is giving even more space to the children, giving more autonomy. So every situation is different though, and I think that only you can know what's best. And I think that when I was teaching and I would hit a brick wall and I would try everything that I knew to try, then sometimes I just needed to ask for help and just keep trying things. Just ask for help in places you don't normally ask for help. That often can reveal some surprises as well.
Yeah.
It's a hard one because, go ahead, Tom.
That as I've traveled the country and worked with teachers all over, there's an interesting phenomenon that happens in, not always, but I've seen it enough, and that is when we pull out the Makey Makey, and it requires a certain degree of, here's what the Makey Makey asks of you, and which I think is awesome, is I'm going to experiment. So for example, there are sometimes teachers who show up with coffee or a water bottle, and they're exploring things in the room that are conductive. And someone says, I wonder if this water or my coffee is conductive. And they drop an alligator clip inside the coffee or their water bottle and they touch the water. I have seen other teachers say, whoa, 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 what are you doing? You should be mixing water or liquids with electronic components. Everybody knows that. And so there's, when I'm hearing this, the respect, I think there's a degree of being able to respect the equipment, but there's also a pushing the envelope of what can we do? The other good thing that I will say is that with all of the hundreds of Makey Makeys that I've seen in use and tested and experimented and pushed to the edge, I have seen in 4 years only one break in a teacher workshop, and that's because the teacher, for some reason, put it on his. And this is a friend of mine who's got a PhD as a professor at a university. He put it on his chair, and then
Sat on
came
it?
back to his seat and sat right on it and bent, did not break, but bent the one of the headers. And he was like, I'm always telling my students about this, but in 4 years, that was the only time.
Yeah, and the headers, when they break off, the Makey Makey still works. I only had it once. I had the student doing DDR and they stepped on it and broke the USB backing off. At that point, you're probably going to have to get a new one. But there was another question that was really important that I want to answer that I saw in here, and I want to ask Jay because I think it's important. And that was, is the static created from the plastic case bad for either microcontroller? Because I do know this is fun, that anytime I show people you can use static to complete the circuit on a Makey Makey, so you don't have to hold earth. If you're on a carpet, you can rub your feet on the carpet and press the key and it will send the signal to Makey Makey. And I've had many electrical engineers, what's the word? Mansplained, maybe? Mansplained to me that static is bad and will break the board. But I know that isn't true. I know I'm not going to break the Makey Makey board from me creating static like that. So Jay, I'm going to let you answer about the plastic cases.
No, that's a good question. It's super cool, right? When you rub free electrons off and they're running all around on the outside of your body and they actually like spread out because they don't want to be near each other. They spread out on the surface of your body. When you get close to something that they're attracted to, they jump through the air. And that's when you see an actual spark if you're like in the dark and you rub a sweater or rub the carpet or something. And that actually can jump into a circuit, and that is sometimes very high voltage, although it's low current. And that high voltage can hurt some microcontrollers and some circuits. More of a problem in the old days. A lot of microcontrollers are ready for stuff like that now because more and more microcontrollers are interfacing to the world through sensors and through phones and through mobile devices and through just all kinds of Internet of Things objects. So yes, it's possible, but the microcontroller on the microbit and the microcontroller and the Makey Makey generally are protected from things like that. But there's limits to everything. So it's possible, but I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. And I was gonna, I also was gonna share that there are many great cases out there to 3D print for either controller, the Makey Makey or microbit, to give them some protection. Like I was trying to find one. That's why I got up earlier. Is I had 3D printed one that I did for my wearable jacket, where it just protected the headers. There's actually a really great laser cut design out there. Do you remember that lady's name, Tom? I wish I could remember her name right now, but I can't remember her. She made a great laser cut case.
There's a nice design too called Pants for Makey Makey. Have you heard of that one?
I think I've seen it.
I like the name.
There was a backpack for a while. There's also it's not microbit, it's Meowbit, but Meowbit has this really cute silicone case. I also was looking for that, but my kids love Meowbit so much I have to hide it and then I can't find it for like a month. It's basically a microbit. I think it's some of the same brains of the microbit. It has an edge connector and it also connects to MakeCode, but super cool project ideas with Makey Makey and microbit and Scratch. There's so many things we can do. And I don't know if there's any questions left. We have only like a few minutes left. So if there are any questions, I did notice Ali had a question about microbit that I will show at least on my own screen. I don't think I'm going to answer this, but I know that when I'm playing with microbit, and we'll show it with this one. What I did notice, so I've lost connection again, and I can see that I've lost connection. And one thing that I've noticed is when it's on, sometimes, and the same is sometimes true for Makey Makey, sometimes I have to press on the keys on my keyboard for it to work. Sometimes it's also, it seems like after I make a code, I have to either click on it and see it be highlighted for a little bit, or I have to just click the green flag again for the code I just created to really take effect on my microbit. That's one thing I've noticed. I also noticed, for Ali, this might help you. I noticed if I don't program anything here and this is blank, then I really don't know if it's listening or not. Like, I don't know if microbit heard what I was doing. So on that other, the one I just made, the platformer, I had a lot of problems earlier today. I couldn't tell if it was working. And I wonder if I guess I could connect this microbit to this project, right? Oh, it doesn't want to do two at one time. So I probably can't do that. But I did put this display heart when shaken so that I could tell it was hearing me at that moment. So I think that's helpful. All right. Any other questions? Now, how do I stop sharing?
There's a
I'm
question
kidding, I'm
about
kidding.
where we can
Oh.
people can get the tape that you used
Oh.
on your glove.
And people asked for the question about where to buy microbit. Someone did say they knew where to buy Makey Makey. You can buy it on our homepage and some suppliers, but they did have a question, Katie, for you about microbit. The tape, real quick, the tape. This tape is in the booster kit. You can also just order conductive fabric tape. I would suggest making sure that whatever you buy, I would suggest looking to make sure the adhesive is also conductive. It doesn't have to be, but it helps you a lot of times from having trouble. So Katie, where can we get microbit?
Katie did post the link to bit.ly, bit.ly/mm-scratch for today's resources.
Thank you.
Yes. So if you go to microbit.org and select buy, you can choose your country. And after that, choose a reseller in your country. And someone did mention in the chat, Amazon works as well. So if you use Amazon in your area, you may want to check Amazon as well. And I also noticed somebody mentioned the club pack for microbits. Club packs are 10 packs of microbits, and a go pack is a single microbit. So you have 2 different ways to purchase your microbit.
And a great question is, when is the next session for this event? I think a lot of people, if they enjoyed this, might want to come to the next one. So why don't we answer that?
Oh, well, before I answer that, I do want to say that in microbit land, you should make sure you buy one that's coming with a battery pack. Once I bought the cheapest microbit on Amazon I could buy, and it didn't have a battery pack. So it is good to make sure that it's going to have a battery pack and the USB cable. And if not, and also I like buying kits that have some LEDs or something too for fun.
And possible buy direct from microbit when you can.
Yeah, well, you can't, can you?
Oh.
Well, so we are not for profit. We don't actually sell the microbit.
Yeah.
So you do buy from a reseller. Thank you, Jay.
Thank
Just kidding. Sorry.
But for us, for Makey Makey, if you buy directly from us, that's a great idea. Right. We would appreciate that. And any battery pack that I'll do one last tip for you, because someone says there's broke. This end connector is called a JST, and I'll type that. So you need the JST end on the battery pack. You can, if you have, I always have battery packs around. I don't have one. If you do just have a red and black battery power, you can try poking them in here or connecting them. Well, no, probably not. You really want the JST. So take that back. All right. So the next webinar, Jay, I was going to suggest that you and Eric Rosenbaum come on later this month for Scratch Month to just do more crazy Scratch stuff.
Cool. So that might be the next one. Oh, so we don't have the time planned yet, is what you're saying?
We actually don't have one planned yet because we did all those ones every week for the last 6 weeks. So this was our last one that's planned, and from here we get to start planning again. But I was really hoping that you and Eric would come on for Scratch Month, in the next week or two. But if you sign up for our newsletter, Tom, we need to share that newsletter link, but I'm pretty sure most of the people who are here are from the newsletter. If you go to our webpage and on the side and you sign up for the newsletter, we send out our webinar announcements the week before, the day before, and Ollie says he wants curriculum for all of microbit and Makey Makey, so children will want to do it. So we hear you, Ollie.
Also, Ali, check out the links at the resource page that we posted. We do have free curriculum from Makey Makey that was posted, as well as the Scratch activity cards with microbit. Loads of pictures, easy for kids, and lots of fun to get started.
Oh, I somehow took that as like pictures of kids with them, like kids in them. And I was like, oh yeah, I hear you. But yes, they do have lots of pictures. And I have been making those at-home classes for Makey Makey. And I think that's in the bit.ly too. And thanks everybody. We gotta go. We spent too much time. We're having too much fun. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Thanks, Colleen.
Thanks. Oh, the pack that is with the glove. There is no glove. I just made it. It's just a found glove, guys. I'm sorry I looked at Q&A real quick. I'll stop the recording though. And the booster kit is called the Inventor Booster Kit on our site. But other than that, everybody else can go. I'm sorry, I was just answering the questions. Owen's still talking. I'll never stop talking. I'm still here. I'm still here. Did Owen
Thank
ask
you,
a
Tom.
question or does
Thank
he
you,
just?
Colleen.
You're
Bye.
welcome.
Thank you, Katie. Bye-bye.
Bye. I'm trying to figure out why Owen has his shrug up. Is he shrugging, just saying goodbye? Okay. All right. Well, hopefully I answered your questions. Bye, everybody.